Hey, everybody. I'm Hillary Atkin from the Atkin Report, and I am thrilled to welcome Aida Rodriguez to this edition of Hillary's Happy Hour. Aida, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Hillary, how are you?
Good, but I bet I am not quite as busy as you are. Let me count the ways you're hosting the Amahan Awards. And I really enjoyed your Netflix special. That's part of Tiffany Haddish's series, They Ready. And I'm really excited to hear about your new project for Warner Media that you're going to executive produce, write, and star in. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us more about all these projects.
We have a show. Well, I have a show in development at HBO Max based on my life and my comedy. And yes, when they did I guess they released to the media that I was doing also an hour special with them, and they talked about developing the TV show. So it's been a great journey with them. They've been really good partners. I'm very excited about working with them because they get me, they understand my voice, and they've also allowed me to have the freedom to create based on that. And it's been a very positive experience, nothing like I was told it was gonna be. And so I get a chance to tell the story of how I got here. And that's really, that's exciting for me.
Well, you do that so well in your stand-ups, but can you talk a little bit about how you envision the scripted show? Like, how is that going to play out?
So, one thing about that a lot of people don't know is that before I was a stand-up comedian, I was an actor and a writer. So I came here with the big dream of pursuing a film career. I had written a script that I submitted for the Sundance Writers Lab and got positive feedback. It made it to the next round. And I really felt that there was a future in it for me. So, the filmmaking lives in me. I produced films, I wrote movies before I became a comedian. I also acted in them. I was a performing arts kid. So my dream is not to, have a half-hour show where I can, exercise the stand-up comedian, but I really want to be able to exercise the actor that lives in me, the writer in me, and really do some storytelling from the perspective from that place, and really show you what was the evolution that led me to become a stand-up comedian and the world. So it's a single camera show. It's very gritty, which I'm very excited about because it's very grounded and real. The way that I envision it, it's with that, that film look where you would see, if you get a season, you'll have 13 short films, based on not just my life, but the many lives of the people who come from where I come from that you never, ever get to see on television.
Well, you brought us some of those lives, including your own in your stand-up. And I would love to hear about how the They Ready series with Tiffany, how that project got off the ground.
It got off the ground because she's very driven and very, she's very intentional with what she does. And it was something she decided to do before Netflix even knew about it. So she and I had a conversation, we talked about it. She said that she really wanted to do 6 half-hour specials and really show the world some of the talent that she thought should have an opportunity. And she did it. And that it was like, it was surreal because she actually made a decision to do it and she did it.
Like, don't you love when that happens? To
Absolutely.
have the intention and then it comes to fruition, and it was so successful. And as I was watching it, I've seen your other specials as well, but I thought, I'm gonna ask you, what was going through your mind when you walked out on that stage?
I was, a lot of things were going through my mind, but one of the things was I talked to Tiffany right before I walked out on stage.
Right.
And she said to me, you're ready for this. And she was like, all I want you to do is go out there, have fun, and really show them what I know about you. So the minute I walked out on that stage, I was excited to really show the world by way of Netflix a group of people that you've never seen in, not just in comedy before, but in media. So I was just very hyped. I was excited. I was a reflection of the audience because my audience was just, I mean, I that experience was so surreal. So I was very, very excited. I was hyped, and you know, I was just so happy, and it was an homage to my loved ones who are not here anymore. So
Mhm.
it was just this out of body experience that I had in that the very few seconds before I started performing that reminded me that this was bigger than me. So it was just, it was a very, I was very excited.
Well, tell us about how your comedy has evolved over the years, like how you started off and you have these comedy specials on HBO, Showtime, now Netflix as a touchstone and the upcoming one on HBO Max. But let's talk about, I really want to hear about your process in writing and also how it's evolved over these past years when you've been performing.
You know, it's the funny thing is that I started doing stand up from a very audacious place. I started with the storytelling very early. I was never like a joke teller that evolved into the storytelling. I started very heavy, very quickly. I think the storytelling part was there. What I had to develop and really work on was bringing the funny to the heaviness, you know, because if you're going to
Yeah.
tell stories, then the point of comedy is to make them funny for the point of telling the story. So you know, my process was really, because I've been a writer since I was very young as a little kid, was tearing back, peeling back the layers of the storytelling and going further and deeper, which I feel like there was some fear in that earlier in my career. And through mentorship and support of the people around me that I respect in comedy, telling me, you need to go deeper, you need to go further. So now, you know, I developed this writing process that's very similar to someone who might be in fifth grade. Like I brainstorm, you know, I do my cluster and I do all the things that I want to talk about. And then I go in and then I start the narrative and then I go in and then I layer. The funny is usually the last part in terms of punchlines for me, because if I decide to tell the story is because I've made a decision that there's something funny about it.
Well, you deal with some, very heavy and intense topics,
Yeah.
and I believe you've succeeded in making them funny, and I realize the challenges in that. But can you share with us your solution to the issue of Me Too sexual harassment in the workplace?
So it's funny because a critic, I believe it was in Forbes magazine, felt that my joke was homophobic, that joke that I told about that. And I thought that it was, you know, again, a man exercising his privilege and in telling a woman how to tell her story. I think that for me, being in a business where it is so dominated by men, and I mean, and many businesses are, so it's not like it's exclusive to comedy, but comedy is very much dominated by male energy. Historically has been that way. Yes, there have been women, but the numbers are always so, there's such a stark difference.
Right.
And talking about it from the place where have all these conversations about being allies to one another. And I think it's important to call on that. So when I decided to tell that story, I looked at it from that perspective that even though gay men are marginalized in this country, a lot of them have privileges that women don't have. You know, they make more money, they can be physically stronger than a lot of women. They operate in spaces that women cannot operate in, even if they're gay. It was about creating allyship and everybody using their privilege to help everybody else who's marginalized. So I really wanted to tell the story from a different I wanted to take a different angle because you hear the stories all the time about women killing men and women beating men and women doing. I really wanted to do something unique, and that was personal for me because I was raised by a gay man. But the gay man who raised me was also my defender and my protector. So it's something that I know from a very personal place, as opposed to me just telling this random joke trying to single out gay people because I'm homophobic, and that's not the case. It comes from a place of I've always been protected by a gay man, so I feel like gay men should protect women. Um, but yeah, I really wanted to talk about Me Too because I think that it is important. But you've heard all the Me Too jokes, so I wanted to take a different angle.
Yeah, well, it's good to take a different angle, and I sorry, I could not help but thinking about Louis C.K. while you were discussing this, but I wanted to ask you, do you feel that there's a kinship amongst female comics because you are so few in the landscape?
I would say that there are some, that there is a kinship with now more than ever. I think before the divide and conquer in comedy was a little bit more successful because there were so few women. But now that we're crossing a generational bridges and you see younger women who are more, they're bolder, they're unafraid, they are revolutionary, they believe things, they know things that we didn't know and the people before us didn't know. I think that there is a kinship with women. Had there not been a kinship with women, there would be no They Ready. So I definitely can attest to being a witness and a participant of, I certainly look for opportunities that, and Tiffany would do it for me. If it's a job that I can't do, I try to fill it with another woman. I definitely go for another woman.
Well, I wanted to touch on some of your other projects too, and I love the title of your show, Truth Serum. So that's your regularly scheduled show. What have been some of your hottest topics lately?
Some of the hottest topics we've had lately, unfortunately, because of the climate that we're in, we get a hot topic every day, right?
Oh,
Because
every hour, probably.
every hour, it feels like we're constantly under attack. I would say that George Floyd was a big moment on Truth Serum because my first show was my second show, but it was my first official show. Ben Crump, who represents George Floyd's family, was on the
Right.
show, and Van Lathan was on the show. I think that we've talked about immigration, a lot of talk about racial stuff, but a lot of talk about Afro Latinidad, which is Blackness within the Latin spectrum, and being able to talk about the indigenous people within our show. And a lot of talk about politics. And it's funny because I'll have comedians come on, I'll have actors come on, I'll have, all these different people come on, and everyone is so politically engaged right now because we feel it all the time. So politics has been the hottest topic on my show. Regardless of who's on it, we always end up talking about politics. Even Dan Fogler from A Fantastic Beast came and did the show, and we ended up talking about politics. And it's funny because the questions will be about the person, like how did you get to this? And then for some reason it evolves into this political conversation. So I think, politics, Donald Trump, of course, because Donald Trump is a hot topic everywhere. Our current state of affairs within Black Lives Matter, a lot of talks about democracy and fighting for it and unity and solidarity amongst people.
Well, let's you and I be different and not talk about politics because
Yes.
that's all we have been talking about and will be for the foreseeable future. But I want to ask you really quickly about this upcoming reading of Bob's Burgers.
Oh yeah.
Which sounds so much fun. What part are you going to be playing?
I'm reading the wife, the mom, and it's so funny because Ramon is one of the people who opens for me, and he is called me and he was like, I can't do this without you, and so that I'll do anything for him. But I am definitely playing the role of the mom, and it's so funny because I feel like I've fallen into this mom hole and I can't get out of it. And I'm like, I love being a mom, but I'm also a woman and a person. But I think Bob's Burgers is funny. I have a friend who writes on the show. And so it was exciting to know that we're going to do this live because I just watched the Fast Times at Richmond
Oh
High,
yeah,
and it was so great just to see it. And it just made me feel, I just got excited because I was like, oh, there's so much we can do with it.
absolutely. You could play Spicoli. No.
I know. I would love to
Right.
play Foley.
Yeah, that's already legendary, but you have so many projects coming up, Ida. This is happy hour. So
Yeah.
I want to propose a toast to you, your health, your well-being, your safety, your talent, and continue to bring these serious topics to us through your brilliant brand of unique comedy.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you. That's very thoughtful. And listen, I wish you as well success, abundance, and health, and that you continue to tell people about the stories that are being told from your perspective because it matters. And I think that your unique way of watching media and being able to share it with others is important because we all need to be held accountable for what we're doing, and we all need a bar to aspire to. So thank you and cheers to you.
Cheers, and let us meet in person very, very soon.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to that. You have to come. You'll be at the taping of Day Ready. I'll make sure you get an invitation so you can sit right there in the front with everybody else 6 feet apart.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Same. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
All right.
Bye.